Hiya! Thanks for joining me today. Today we're going to talk about the subject of hair removal. So I'm talking about everything from the neck downwards, pretty much. I'm not going to cover too much about facial growth. I'll do that a little bit just to sort of get it out of the way. But I'm going to talk about mostly body hair removal, what I do, what I've tried, what works, what doesn't work for me, and something in terms of recommendations depending on what you're looking for as an individual. So, first thing to say is, as a cross-dresser, you're probably going to come up against people who have different views on this based on their circumstances. So my circumstances are that I am typically hair-free all year round. So I don't have any hair on my legs, on my chest, on my arms, on my underarms for pretty much the entire year. And because of that, I have a routine that works with that in mind. So my routine is aimed at being someone who wants to be pretty much permanently hairless. You may find yourself in a very different situation, and as a result, you may find that what works for you will be different from what works for me. But we're going to cover off everything as much as I can based on what I've done in the past. So I have done the following at some stage in my life. I have shaved, I've epilated, I've waxed, I've used those stupid it's like a sort of miniature sander thing. It's supposed to buff off hair. They don't work. So I won't be spending any time talking about those. I find those terrible. They never work for me and they take so long, it's ridiculous. And I've also used light guns. I have never done laser, so professional laser treatments. Never had anything on my face. So everything I've done has basically been at home. I've never had waxing or any treatment where I've gone to someone and they have treated me for hair removal. It's all been at-home type activities. So, if we talk about the kind of person that I am, someone who wants to remove hair all year round, I'm happy to be hair-free at all times. This means that my routine is based on something every day, every other day, and therefore I pretty much base my routine around the shower. So when I have a shower, I will do something to tidy up and So when I have a shower, I will do whatever's necessary at that time, depending on the circumstances, to simply tidy things up, make it all presentable, and keep me as I wish to be. And that means I have two routines when it comes to activity in the shower. We'll talk about those in a second. What I would say is that you may find yourself in a very different situation from me. So you may find yourself, assuming, let's say, firstly, that you are someone who wants to remove body hair. If you're not into removing body hair, then you're probably looking at thicker black tights or multiple pairs of thick tights to hide leg hair. You might be looking at gloves to hide arm hair. And you'll probably be looking at more covered tops to hide chest hair. You might be using a sort of chest plate with cleavage. That's something that will cover chest hair. There's lots of different options available in the market. But I'm going to assume that you're here because you are in some way looking at hair removal. And therefore, your focus areas are going to be one or more of the following: arms, armpits, chest, back, legs. And more intimate areas, which we'll talk about later. The first thing I would say is, in general, I find that different styles of hair removal work best for different activities. Fundamentally, shaving is your typical fallback. Shaving is really, really good because it's simple, it's cheap, you can do it on a daily basis, so you can use it for maintenance. But it's also a very good way if you want to have an instant hair removal, but you're straight on the clock for hair regrowth. So if you're looking for removal of the hair, but in a couple of weeks, you'll be kind of back to normal, maybe in a month, you'll be back to normal, shaving's your option. And I find shaving works really, really well for that. With that in mind, The other options are to remove hair by the root, waxing or epilating. Now I'm going to cover epilating very quickly. I've tried epilating in the past. I hated it. It's incredibly slow and painful. It's like a special kind of torture. It's far more painful than waxing, and it's something that I see no purpose in if you have a large sort of area of your body to cover, especially if you've got coarser, darker hair like I have. Pulling those out by the roots, via an electrical appliance, I find to be a special kind of torture, and therefore I will never go back to that again. I'd much rather wax. Now I have waxed. Now what I find is that I've done home waxing using Veet strips. So these are the sort of strips about this size. You put them between your hands, rub them to warm them up, put them in half. You've got wax on either side, you apply them to your skin, tear them off against the direction of the root, thereby removing all of the hair that's within that patch. Now I find them quite good, and I used them when I was looking to remove hair very efficiently, but I was quite happy to have a long period of hairlessness. Whereas with shaving, your hair's going to start growing back within hours or days. Most people, it's going to start growing immediately. You'll get maybe a couple of days of relatively hair-free appearance. Waxing, you'll get 2+ weeks. There's a reason why waxing, you get adverts around summertime for waxing strips, because it's a great way for women to wax before they go on holiday, and you get a whole holiday of not having to worry about shaving. But there is a problem with waxing. The hair needs to be long enough to wax. So if you are someone who has normal body hair, then you want to get rid of it for a couple of weeks for a holiday or something, or some kind of specific event, and you're happy to be hair free for a couple of weeks, waxing could be the exact right option for you, because it's going to give you that nice period, long period of hair free, but your hair will regrow. You'll just be hairless for longer than you would be if you shaved. And for me, these are the kind of best options that are available in terms of temporary to, let's say, more semi-temporary, not semi-permanent, but semi-temporary hair removal. And they work pretty well for me. So I've used waxing, as I said, a couple of times. I didn't like the fact that once you've waxed, you then have to wait for the hair to regrow to the length where you can then wax again. And I always got tired of that, and I would simply start shaving again. The only time I therefore considered waxing was similar to the way a woman would, which is if I had a period where I didn't want to have to shave, I wanted to be hair free for a specific period, and I didn't want to have to do anything at all, I would let the hair grow, wax it, and then you've got a nice couple of weeks where you really don't need to do much in the way of maintenance. However, having moved beyond that, moving beyond that into the realms of being permanently hairless, I don't like that period where you've got to let the hair grow before you can wax again. That period to me is, it's not something I want to go through. I don't want to have to wait for that. I always get impatient to shave it off anyway. So for me, there's no point to that. So waxing doesn't feature into my regular routine at all now. I have a routine that generally revolves around shaving, and I do this in 2 different ways. On a daily basis, whenever I have a shower, I will quickly trim up any areas that need to be addressed, and that's just general maintenance. And I do that using these razors. So I keep 2 razors, identical ones, in the shower. One on a higher shelf, one on a lower shelf. The higher one's my face, because my face is higher. The lower one is my body, because my body is lower. And I have a sort of routine with my razor blades. If you've ever lived with a woman, and that woman has taken your razor you use to shave your face, and she's used it on her legs, you'll know the agony of using the same razor blade for your face and your body. You never want to do this. So I keep 2, and what I do is I use a new razor blade every 3 to 4 shaves on my face, And then when I'm done with it, I swap it to the other razor, and that becomes the razor that I then use for my body. And then whatever head was on here, I throw it away. And that way, I'm using a fresh razor for my face all the time, but while it's still sharp and still good for shaving my body, I will use it on the other razor. So swap it over, and you're keeping a sort of cycle of razor blades going. To be honest, given how much use I then get out of them, I feel it's much more economical anyway. Now, talking about types of razors, to me, razor blade technology peaked with the Gillette Mac 3. I know there are more modern versions. This is a 3-blade razor. You can get 4-blade, 5-blade razors, Wilkinson saw, with their ridiculous, guard wires that, to me, clog the razor up and make it impossible to use. I've never felt the need to go beyond the Mac 3. There's a reason why, 15, 20 years after release, the Mac 3 is still being used and it is still on the market. And frankly, the reason I continue to use it today, is because it's the most frequently stocked blade that they sell in Costco. So when I go down to Costco, I will buy more Mac 3 blades because that's what they sell. I can save a bit of money on them, and they're still, I'm willing to bet it's still their most popular and best-selling brand of razor blades. And no matter what they do with, ball technology and flexible blades, all that kind of stuff that they try to introduce over the years, I don't think they've really got beyond this. If you're careful with this razor, it's everything you ever need to use. So I use these two. Now, on a day-to-day basis, I will simply shave my legs with no gel, no oil, no foam, nothing. Armpits, chest, legs, simply shave straight onto the skin. For me, that works perfectly fine for general daily maintenance. If, however, I am going out and I'm going to be wearing, a nice dress, as I've done today, then I will go through an entirely different, more complicated, involved routine. And still involves using the razor blades for shaving, but it also involves something else. So the first thing I will do is I'll jump in the shower and I will use these exfoliating gloves. So these gloves, just pop on your hands and rub them all over your body, which gets rid of dead skin. If there are any hairs that are either trapped under skin or are flat to your body, it will agitate them and lift them up from your body. So I rub that all over my skin, basically everywhere, which gets rid of dead skin, lifts the hairs up, gets you nicely prepped for shaving. So I'll use that pre-shave. I then use what is Juliette gel, so the same gel I would use for a face shave, and I apply that to the skin, and then shave as usual using my body razor, which is this one. So essentially, as a tip, there are obviously some parts of your body that are much more vulnerable to nicks and scrapes, etc. I find that my underarm, my chest, I don't have any problems with accidentally, nicking my nipples or anything else like that. But I do find that certain areas of the body around the ankle, around the knee, and the worst one, if you ever do anything on this, is if you go up the back of your Achilles tendon, and if you take off the skin at the back of your Achilles tendon, that is agony for days. So I always tend to be very, very careful around any knobbly bits, ankles, around the knees, especially around the Achilles tendon. I've done that once, I never intend to do that again. And really just take your time. But I just shave with an upward stroke, straight onto the skin, rinse it off, back onto the next section, and it's very easy to keep track of where you've been. Do this in the bath, in the shower. For me, it's quite straightforward. It's a very, very easy thing to do. Having then shaved and finished, and this can take, depending on how much you've got to do, 40 minutes plus. It can be quite an involved thing. I will then use the exfoliating glove once again, just to make sure everything is nicely cleaned off, all the hairs are gone, scrub down, really happy. And I will then apply a Nivea cream to anywhere that I've shaved. So I have a Nivea hand cream, which I will just grab. So this is my Nivea cream. I use this. It's a just basic hand cream, Nivea, not expensive at all. But what it does is it gives your legs a nice shine. It will, if there's any areas where you've sort of roughed up the skin with the razor blade, and perhaps you've got some slightly rougher skin or lighter skin, it will basically moisturize those areas. It will result in nice, smooth looking shiny legs, particularly if you're not going to wear tights. Obviously tights will hide a multitude of sins anyway, but I wouldn't go through this routine if I wasn't going to be having bare legs. So it's really more of a summer routine. And I find that this Nivea cream works really well. Some people I know use baby oil, so just apply baby oil and then rinse off in the shower, and that can work quite well. But basically you're just looking to moisturize the skin and get a nice sort of glowing, healthy, shiny appearance to your legs, particularly, or wherever else you're shaving. Goes to your arms as well. So all I will do with that is I'll just take some of this cream and just rub that in to the skin, so you've got a nice sort of shiny appearance. Again, those extremities, your ankles, backs of your back of your tendons, your knees, where you may have scraped slightly, it's a great way to be able to cover up anything that's a little bit off-putting, or perhaps not perfect, let's put it that way. And this all works really, really well. So that's my general routine. Rub what's left into your hands, get your hands nice and moisturised, and it's a great way to get ready for particularly a summer's day out. It smells quite nice as well. It's a bit of a girly thing to do, but if you're getting your legs out, you want to look your best, particularly in this sort of style of dress, it's really worth doing. Now, the other thing I was going to say is, because I shave my body all year round, I was interested in something that would be more permanent. There are certain parts of my body that now that I shave, I could grow hair back on, let's say, my legs if I wanted to, but there are certain areas of my body where I just don't care anymore, and I never intend to grow hair back. Take, for example, my underarms or my chest. So I was looking at ways in which to remove hair or prevent hair growth. Now, there are various ways like laser that you can do. You can go and pay for expensive treatments. I've never gone in for that, mainly because I sort of looked at opportunities to do things from home and to maybe find a more economical way to do that. And what I've used is one of the sort of light gun hair prevention systems. There's brands like No, and I use this one and this sort of Star Trek phaser looking device. This is a Philips Lumia. The model is Precision Plus. This is a light gun. After you've shaved, you basically hit the follicle where the root is with light, which prevents, for depending on your hair type, prevents regrowth or slows regrowth. Now, I've had some, I would say, good to great results with this. It is mixed in its how effective it can be, but in general, I've had this for a couple of years and the results have been fantastic. For the most part, there are certain areas that don't work quite so well, but we'll talk about those. Essentially what this does is you've got 5 settings, 1 to 5. I've always used it on strongest setting 5. It works very much best on darker hair, so if you've got blonde hair, it's not going to work very well for you. Finer hair just doesn't work as well. So if you've got dark hair like I have, my hair's black, it will work very well. And all you're basically doing with this device is you switch it on, it's rechargeable, switch it on, you can hear the fan going, so it's generating heat. And do your settings, I set it to a 5. And when you hold down this button, And when this is pressed, when the end here presses against it, you'll notice the colour changes at the back. So it goes green to say it's ready to now fire off a blast of light. So if I do that on my leg here, it goes green, and that's our light blast. Move it. If you hold it down and simply move, it will apply the treatment directly to you. So as long as the light's coming on here, that means it's flat to the skin and it's ready to do the next blast. Now what this will do, since I've used this on an area where I shaved, it will be actively helping to stop those hair follicles to regrow. Now, like I said, I've used this on my chest, my arms, my underarms, and my thighs. I have used it, but not very regularly on my lower legs. And the main reason was I always thought, if I ever want to wear shorts or something, then maybe I'll want to regrow hair on my legs at some point. But this gives what I would say are semi-permanent to permanent results. You're supposed to use it once and then use it again within 5 days. So about 5 days later, use it again and keep using it until essentially the hair growth stops. I found that it does a very, very good job. There are certain persistent hairs that will not go, and that's why I continue to do a little bit of shaving. But because of this, I would say that on my chest and my underarms, 90% of my hair does not regrow. So I'm only now shaving 10% of the hair or less that I used to have to shave off. And that means that I can go a couple of days without shaving and look fine. I can get away with it. But if I want to do my full routine, then I can shave everywhere, catch all the hairs, and I'm ready and good to go. But it makes shaving so much easier. If you are prepared to lose that hair potentially forever, and I've certainly found that there are some areas of my body I don't use this on anymore, and the hair just does not regrow. I have tended to use it on certain areas where you really don't want hair growing. So if you get hair growing on the backs of your fingers, there's an adjustable, you can take this head off here, you can put another one which has a smaller aperture, and then you could use this on the backs of your fingers to stop any hair growing on your hands. Maybe you don't care about people seeing that. You can use it on your arms, on your underarms, as I said. It's marketed mainly to women, and as a result, they do give you instructions for how to use it as a woman on areas like your top lip. But they advise against using it on more intimate areas. It's fine for women's bikini lines apparently, but they advise not using it on more intimate areas or on the male face. And all I'll say is that I ignored that and I tried it, and it will work on your face. I did, however, find that because it can be patchy in its results, specifically when you start using it, because it can be patchy, you're going to look really odd, as a whole rectangle of hair doesn't grow on your face, but then hair grows around it because this thing doesn't always get every hair. So I didn't like that. I stopped using it, and then within a month the hair was regrowing again. So if you don't use it repeatedly, the hair will regrow. Once you've zapped those follicles several times, I find the hair doesn't regrow, and I probably use this now once every 6 months. I'll do a round of treatments once every 6 months, not more than that. Because of its size, it takes a long while to do legs, chest, underarm, arms. It takes a long time to do that. If you think about how long it takes to run this up a leg, at the rate it goes, and if you're doing it, to give you an idea, so if you're applying it like so, and you're heading up your leg, you're probably going to take a good half a minute to do, or more, to do one strip up to the knee, from the ankle to the knee. And therefore you could be, to do your whole body, you'll need several charges. I would say you'll need 4 charges, I typically find I need a charge for a leg, a charge for the other leg, charge for my chest and my arms. I can do chest and arms on one charge. So 3 charges minimum if I'm going to do my entire body, which means you've got to space it out over a day, and therefore it's not something that you can get done like in one evening. You know, it's something you're going to need to plan for, particularly if you're trying to cover such a large surface area. So it's great though, it works really well, helps slow down that growth, and it's one of the things that allows me to do that regular routine shaving in the shower. It means I can get rid of this, or I can get rid of the hair, and I don't need to worry quite so much about having to religiously shave very, very carefully the whole of my legs, the whole of my chest, etc. I can rely on the fact that this has got rid of most of the hair for me, and it's mostly just a little bit of patchy maintenance, not much more than that. And you get to know where the hair's still growing, you get to know the bits that you know you're going to need to deal with, and so you can focus on those. It's much easier to be able to do that. So I think this is a fantastic item. I think I'm leaning towards saying, I know I paid between £100 and £200 for it. I'm leaning towards it being closer to the £200 end, but given that I've had this for now, what, 3 years? Yeah, I think 3 years or more. Both my wife and I, we both use this. It's worked wonders for my wife, as it has for me, on her legs. And for the money, I think it's a bargain. I would have spent easily that much and way more in home waxing strips, for example. And yeah, I really couldn't argue against this. This has been a really, really great buy, and something that I think for home hair removal is an excellent investment. So definitely recommend one of these if you have the right kind of hair and you're in the right frame of mind to be getting the most out of it. Okay, so that's generally what I do. So I will shave the legs. I use that treatment on them about once every 6 months, or let's say twice every 6 months. I'll do it once and then once again 5 days later. And shaving in between, shave the whole body. Now, when it comes to more intimate areas of your body, if you're looking to do anything to remove hair there, then there are loads of things that you can do which are basically doing exactly the same as what a woman would do. So I would say that for more intimate areas of your body, shaving and waxing, I would never epilate. Shaving and waxing are obviously the 2 most simple things to do. The light gun does work. So if you want to remove hair from your groin area, that light gun does work, and it will prevent hair from regrowing. But there are certain parts of your body where you are going to want to be very, very cautious about what you do with this kind of treatment. And I'm therefore not recommending that you do anything like that. All I can say is that in general, that gun will work anywhere. It's worked on areas of my face, so clearly it can work anywhere. One thing I would say about face though, is I've used that light gun for one specific application. I shave my face about once every 3 days, so once or twice a week actually, is pretty much what I shave. I don't like shaving, and in between dressing I will just not bother, because I like to have a decent amount of hair growth to remove. You get a cleaner shave that way. So I'll probably put a picture up somewhere of what my sort of general beard growth looks like after about 5 or 6 days, so you get an idea of the sort of level of beard growth that I have to be able to deal with. It's by no means the worst, but it's also not light growth either, so it's definitely something that needs to be tackled. The main thing I would say about this area of your face is that light gun is great for permanently removing hair on your neckline. One of the things I don't like about applying foundation is you're applying foundation to your face, but you've got sort of hair, you've got the sort of beard shadow on your neckline, and you need to come down with your foundation without leaving an obvious mark where you've got to blend it out to your natural skin tone. And so I've used that light gun to stop hair growth here on my neckline. So it's still on my jawline, it's still on my face, but not on my neckline. And now I don't need to do anything or anywhere near as much to get decent coverage on my neckline, which means that I can keep my makeup basically inside the lines of the contouring I do for my jawline. So it's on my face only. I'll do a little bit on my neck if I need it, but for the most part, I don't have to touch my neck area too much. And that makes things much easier for applying makeup. So if it's something you wanted to do, if you're worried or thinking about laser type treatment on your face, I've thought about it. It's not something I'm going to do. It's something I discussed with my wife, and you know, she quite likes it when I have beard growth on a daily basis. So I'm going to keep working on this same routine. I'll shave and apply my makeup, but this area here doesn't really make any difference. So I think that's a good place if you wanted to do something. It certainly helps with general appearance and making your makeup that much easier to apply, or to sort of focus on just your face area rather than having to worry about your neckline as well. So yeah, that's one little tip that I would advise as well. So that's mostly what I do. I think that's covered everything that I've done in terms of general hair removal. So I've tried most things. I've tried to manage this. Like I said, I'm very much in that camp of regular shaver, permanent hair removal, and I'm quite happy being like that. There are certain things that you need to, you just need to be able to live with. So if you're like me, if you want to go to a beach holiday, got to get the old shaved legs out. If you want to go cycling or running in summer, out come the shaved legs. If you're wearing shorts, going out for a day and you're wearing shorts, out come the shaved legs. This is something where you just have to get over it. I've had comments. I had a kid in London make a comment about my legs, but that's about it. So I don't worry about it too much. I'm past the point where I care about what other people think. And I wear t-shirts almost all year round. So I'm almost always bare-armed, no arms whatsoever. And I get 0 comments about that. At work, from friends, I get no comments whatsoever. Either because they don't care, they haven't noticed, they've got an inkling of what it is, but they don't want to know more. Maybe they don't think I want them to ask. I don't know. But I don't get comments, I don't get aggravation, I don't get problems. And I'm more than happy with that. That works well for me. So I think mostly, as I've said in previous videos, the fear of people's comments is something that's always there. The actual comments are very, very rare. So, it's like the fear of crime is far more prevalent than crime itself. It's a similar sort of thing. So I find that for me, if you can sort of screw up the courage to go out and be as you wish to be, for the most part, no one's going to spot it, no one's going to care, it's not going to be a problem. If you've got nice tanned shiny legs that you've looked after, sticking out from the bottom of your nice tight pink shorts, that's going to be really obvious. I had a moment in Rome where I was in one of the piazzas in Rome. We were just having a wander around by the fountains, and there was me with my nice tan shiny shaved legs, and another guy, an American, with his nice tiny sort of shiny tanned legs. And there was a sort of moment of exchanging a look, and I don't know if we both had the same thought, but my thought was cross-dresser or cyclist, not sure. He may have well had the same thoughts about me, cross-dresser or cyclist, who knows. But there was a little observation, a nod, and we went our separate ways. And that's the closest I've ever come to having a conversation with someone about the state of my legs and about why they're so lovely, smooth, shiny and appealing, and yeah, quite so, quite so delicious. Anyway, so that's my summary of hair. Long video, a lot to cover, but I wanted to go through everything that I actually do. I'm not going to give you a demo of how to shave your legs. I'm sure you guys can work that out. But those are the things that I do on a regular basis. Moisturising is very important, particularly if you've been tanning. It's very good to get some moisture back into your legs, and it just does help finish the look. If you're wearing tights, don't bother. Shave, pop your tights on, shiny tights or whatever. They're going to do the job for you, but they work really, really well. So, if there's any questions about this, if you want to ask me anything at all, then please do let me know in the comments down below. I look forward to hearing from any comments from anyone on this video. If you want to ask me questions about some other subjects, or you want to ask me questions that are perhaps off this particular topic, then please do head over to my website, which is www.julietnoir.uk. Link is in the description to this video. On the website there, I've got some hints and tips about different things. I will be doing a whole written article blog about hair removal, talking about the different products I use, and I'll be recording all of that in the website. So that's there as a sort of written reference as well. I also have a forum on the website where if you log in as a member, you are able to ask me questions about specific topics and even suggest topics for videos. So that's why I'm trying to collect some of that information there now. So photos, videos, links, other bits and pieces are all over there on the website. So by all means, head over there, have a look there, and get in contact with me if that's something that you're interested in doing. So thank you for taking time to listen to me today. It's been lovely talking to you again. I hope this was useful. Let me know your comments and look forward to talking to you all again soon. Thanks so much, and bye! Bye!